Hello, I'm David Jones, and I thought in this video we'd take a look at natural gas. It's one of those markets that perhaps a few years ago wasn't that popular, nowhere near as popular as the likes of oil, for example, but has absolutely had quite a bit of notoriety over the last couple of years, particularly over the last year, given the volatility that we've seen. So I thought, well, let's take a look at natural gas. We've seen a big slide since last summer. Is this an opportunity? Is there further to go? So as usual in this video, I'll talk about some of the things that are affecting the gas price, and then we'll jump on to the charts and take a look at things in a bit more detail and see where the opportunity might be. Before we get into it, I should say I launched a newsletter over the weekend, free of charge. I'm going to send it out every week, look at what's going on in markets, what market I'm watching, so like a hot market for the week ahead. A trading tip in there every week, and to sign up, if you go to my website jonesthemarkets.com, scroll down to the bottom of that page and there's the box in there for the newsletter. You can sign up there. I'll put a link in this description both to my website and to the latest edition of the newsletter, so you can read the last one that went out. Right, let's get into it. Let's take a look at natural gas in a bit more detail. Let's just run through the numbers first of all. So some massive volatility last year. If we look at the move from January 2022 to June 2022, we saw the price of natural gas increase by 150%. It's a significant move for a big commodity like this. But since then, since the June highs, we've seen the natural gas price drop to where it is currently by about 67%. So we've seen the market drop by 2/3 over the last, 7 months or so. And you can see probably behind me on the chart, it's been a fairly relentless drop. And this week or last week, we saw natural gas trade to its worst levels in 18 months. So back to the summer of 2021 lows. So all that volatility last year, and bang, that's where we are at the moment. Clearly, one of the big drivers for energy markets last year, natural gas was no exception, was the Russian invasion of Ukraine. When we saw that happen in the first quarter of last year, we saw plenty of markets, of course, experience volatility. The likes of oil and natural gas got a big lift underneath them. Then, of course, we had the whole political machinations of continental Europe trying to shift away from being so dependent on Russian natural gas. So lots of sort of political updates driving the market last year as well, after that initial rally off the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So why have we seen it fall so hard? Well, one of the reasons, apparently, we are experiencing unseasonably high temperatures for winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, I don't know where you are, but when I went out the house this morning at 9 a.m, it was still -6. So it definitely doesn't feel, or hasn't felt, unseasonably warm here. But that's one factor. Globally, Northern Hemisphere, not as cold as it has been typically. So of course, people globally using less natural gas. Then we have the Freeport export plant that's been shut since June of last year, the natural gas export plant, due to a fire. It has started receiving natural gas via its pipeline. I think in earlier on in January, the company says that should return to full service this month. So that might affect, or should affect, the supply side of natural gas as well. So perhaps we do have had, after last year's volatility, something of a supply-demand imbalance. But given that the price has dropped by 2/3, how much further is there to go? Or is this actually going to be a great buying opportunity? As usual, I'll stop talking about it. Let's jump onto the chart, have a look at the trends, have a look at the levels, and see where any opportunity might be. So let's have a look at this natural gas. It's absolutely experienced volatility in the past. If we go back to September 2018, we had a move from about 280 up to 5 into November of 2018. And famously, there were quite a few people the wrong side of that. I think an options fund famously went under because of the volatility in natural gas then. Then we saw it set off into 2020, summer of 2020, down around $1.50. But all of that volatility was not a patch on what we saw from what 2021 onwards. Let's zoom it in. So we saw the price run up into October 2021, and then of course 2022 is when we saw the really big moves in natural gas. So came into 22 around $3.80, and then it touched eventually in August. It got as high very briefly above $10. So sizable moves up, and then of course since then we've had the sizable move down. Here we are at the time of recording, trading around $3.30 for the natural gas price. So dipping just on Friday back to where it was in the summer of 2021. So year and a half plus low for natural gas. I was looking at this, I remember looking on the live stream and wondering if $5 would end up being a floor for natural gas. It held it in December after touching it in October of last year, but pretty much sailed through it as the year ended to bring it down to where we are now. Not even this big level, and this was a significant level, $3.50 from July 2021 and then into December 2021 was enough to stop the slide in natural gas. So let's take a look at things now and think, okay, where might this actually stop? I suppose if we're going to look at things like support and resistance, let's take a look at that first. $3 was an important level going back a while now. It was the highs in Feb 2021, and eventually it broke out later in 2021 and ran as high as $6.50. So I suppose if we were looking for one line in the sand to try and call the bottom, $3 is an interesting one. We have seen the market hesitate around that level more recently. Let's pick up on the trend. So if we were going to look at the longer term trend, the downtrend from August of last year, it looks something like this. So, and it's done a good job of capping the price. So even if natural gas rallies $2 from where we are now up to sort of $5.30, $5.50, it's still in that downtrend. So it would take a lot at the moment. It would take a sizable move at the moment to suggest that downtrend is running out of steam. Now, it is really oversold. If we have a look at the RSI, great reminder why putting too much weight on overbought, oversold indicators can be a dangerous thing to do in strong trends. The RSI went oversold when natural gas was trading around $4.50, and here we are about $1.20 lower, so about 30% lower again. So very oversold in the RSI. I'm not going to put too much weight on that at the moment, but perhaps this $3 level is an interesting one to watch. For me, at the moment, I would still be a seller of rallies. Let's take a look at some shorter term barriers. So here's the hourly chart over the last couple of weeks or so. So we've seen it, it's only been 2 days, don't forget, stabilize in the low threes. But for now, even the high from Thursday of last week, $3.40, stopped the price on Friday. If we saw a stronger rally, perhaps up to $3.80, lots of resistance coming in around $3.80 and ahead of $4. So for me, any run higher for now in the price of natural gas is still a selling opportunity. So I am not interested in trying to call the bottom at the moment, even though keeping an eye on $3 is an interesting thing to do. So I'm happy to be patient and sell into strength. If the market rallies from here, look to sell short. If we break $3, what are the next targets to look for? I suppose if we were going to be fairly pessimistic, we could look at the lows from April 2021, around about $2.40. I think that could well be the next target to go. It does feel like it's been sold too much and oversold, so it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if we saw something of a rally this week. But again, for me, even though natural gas in the past can turn around on a dime, to use an Americanism, so we can see quite a strong rally, I'd still be more interested in selling strength. So even if we do get an oversold rally this week, perhaps as high as $4, I'd personally be looking to see about selling short up there. So a really interesting market, been under loads of pressure since the summer of last year. It's a market, I mean, all markets you have to be sensible about managing a risk, and I have heard some horror stories about people selling short on the way up, trying to call the top, and buying it on the way down, trying to call the bottom, and the market's just gone sailing against them. So even more important than in other markets to manage your risk and make sure you have sensible stop losses in place. The $3 mark is an interesting one. It's arguably a reasonably important historical level. Let's see if it holds it up for now, but in the short term, I would still be leaning to selling short into any strength. That's it for this update in natural gas. I think it's really interesting down here. If it's going to start turning around anywhere, then we're here. Let's see how it plays out over the next few days. Like I say, to have a look at the website and sign up, have a look at the newsletter and sign up for further issues, go to the website, jonesthemarkets.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, put your email address in there. I'll put the link to the latest newsletter in this description, and the next one will be going out later this week. That's it for me. Good luck with your trading.